afternoon, members. Can you please stand for Madam Chairman?
Right, welcome back everyone. Those 15 years went really quickly, didn't they? Right. Please sit down. Item 12. Are you all ready, folks? Item 12. I call upon, this is the establishment of committees, and I call upon Councillor Mick Barton to move the recommendation in the report. I call upon Councillor. That's enough.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I move the papers of the establishment of committees and all the recommendations 1 to 12 within the report. Thank you.
I call upon Councillor Martin Wright to second the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to do so.
I will now open the debate. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good councils and good organisations right across the country have good checks and balances in place, Madam Chairman, to assist with good decision making. Now, at this council, that check and balance is called overview and scrutiny, Madam Chairman. And in accordance with good governance and good scrutiny, opposition councillors have always previously in the past, and quite appropriately, Madam Chairman, been vice-chairmen of committees. I'm not just saying that as the leader of the opposition, I said it as the leader of the council when opposition colleagues, when I was the leader, held those positions. But what has one of Reform's first decisions been on this council, Madam Chairman? One of them is to remove opposition vice-chairmen of scrutiny. That, Madam Chairman, is extremely concerning for many reasons. First of all, it removes experience and knowledge from shaping the scrutiny programme of this council. It goes against all the good governance procedures and bodies out there. When you seek advice externally, they all tell you that good governance means having everybody around the table, Madam Chairman. And it results in Reform, right here in this authority, marking their own homework. What does it risk? What does it mean to the residents of Nottinghamshire that we all represent? I'll tell you what it means, Madam Chairman. It risks worse children and family services. It risks our communities receiving worse services and libraries being cut. It risks highways not being repaired properly. It risks adults right across the county who receive adult social care receiving worse services. It risks poor planning decisions being made, Madam Chairman, and it risks for poor financial management. What would that result in? It would result in the risk of Nottinghamshire County Council turning into the bankrupt Labour-run Nottingham City Council, Madam Chairman, or rat-ridden Birmingham, because they, Madam Chairman, have no opposition on scrutiny at all or involved in the making of those decisions. Reform or any other council or any other body across the country marking their own homework raises one question, Madam Chairman, and I'll leave it for the Reform administration to answer. What is there to hide? What are you hiding from the people of Nottinghamshire? And what are you hiding from the Conservative opposition? Whatever it is, we will find it. And we will work on behalf of our residents right across the county and our communities to improve and protect those services. And we will vote against this poor governance system that risks service delivery, Madam Chairman. Nottinghamshire deserves better, and we'll work on their behalf to make sure it happens.
Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I mean, just following on from my leader of the group here, Councillor Smith, you know, when we were the administration, we weren't afraid to have opposition members in senior positions within scrutiny committees and chairman because we knew we ran a very good council and we welcomed the scrutiny. We said, if you can find something we can do better, then bring it on. And actually, having some of the good council we had in opposition from the opposition groups and roles, you know, I'm thinking there's many colleagues, but Councillor Cremo, Councillor Guilfoyle no longer with us, you know, they're very good vice chairman of committee there and made a positive impact on the council. We welcome that. So I think by not having the opposition members involved in those roles, when they're not in the regular briefings with chairmen, they're not in those meetings with senior officers on a regular basis, it does risk the impression to the public, as Councillor Smith has said, that you may be afraid of scrutiny and other policies. And I'm sure that's something that you don't want the impression to be to the public, but that's what you risk. I think we're also concerned that on the number of roles doubled up with members of this council in 2 roles or more, and the number of deputy cabinet member roles have been left vacant. As a former cabinet member myself, I know the important role deputy cabinet members play, where if you have the right person, like I did before Councillor Tom Smith, they can make a real difference in a role and the impact they can make for our communities. So giving them the number of new councillors who are in the cabinet, the deputy roles, I would argue, are even more important at this stage. So for that reason, I again can't vote for recommendations here today. And I would ask the new administration to reflect on decisions they are making and the consequences it could have for this council. Thank you.
Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's quite a worrying day, and I agree with the 2 previous speakers that when you have the situation that we're going to have now in Nottinghamshire with a cabinet entirely made up with members from one party, chairs of scrutiny committees, including the most important, the Overview Committee, chaired by people from one party, and now the vice chairs of those committees being represented by people from one party. Doesn't feel like democracy to me, doesn't feel like scrutiny to me, and it's a very, very dangerous situation to be in. They won't say it because they can't, but I would imagine that some of the officers are worried about it as well. But you see, it's one of these things, isn't it? It changes to what part of the country you're in. And I just happened on this over lunch. Some of you may know that the Reform group on Cornwall County Council have been trying to take over control as a minority, and the Liberal Democrats and Independents have formed the actual administration there. The Reform group leader, and this is from the Cornish local press, the Reform group leader, Councillor Rob Parsonage, revealed after the meeting that he has approached the Local Government Association to arbitrate after the largest party on the council claimed that had been denied, quote, any meaningful representation on council committees, including our reasonable request for a single chair position on a scrutiny committee. This blatant exclusion ensures Reform UK has no ability to influence decisions or deliver the change our voters demanded. So what's good enough for Cornwall surely should be good enough for Nottinghamshire. And quite frankly, it feels more like a dictatorship than democracy. Thank you.
Councillor Lee.
Thank you. I represent another council. I represent Newtonshire District Council, where the council there has just had a peer review, and they took all the positions and all the scrutiny positions. And the one criticisms that they got were, you can't do your own homework. You must have a look at giving the opposition the scrutiny committees. You can't scrutinise yourselves. You know this. You know that if you're having an argument with your partner, that you can't decide who's right or who's wrong. And this is the same situation here. I honestly think, with all due respect, I think you are going to regret not, at the bare minimum, bringing the knowledge from this side into your decision making. You don't have to listen to it, but just to have that knowledge. And I think if you think, I personally have spoken to a few of you, and you're already struggling with the workload and the casework and the double committees and the committees, that I think you're going to regret not at least working with us, having us to sit with you and having that experience. And I hope that you will speak to our leader and change that decision, because I think you are, well, you're shaking your head at me. Let's see what happens at your peer review, because the next peer review, I think you will be criticised for not sharing at least the scrutiny committees and and checking your own homework. I honestly do. And I'll be able to say to you, I told you so. And if not, you'll be able to say to me, Councillor Lee, we told you so. But saying that I've got a little bit more experience than you on that, we'll see.
Councillor Garland.
Thank you. Councillor Barton, you said at the beginning of the meeting how you wanted to work collaboratively, and I think this would be a good way to show that by bringing in other people as chairs and vice chairs. But I would say to the Tory group that when I first joined Nottinghamshire County Council, this council ran with a committee structure which was very inclusive, very collaborative, and I think worked really well at making local decisions. And unfortunately, you changed the cabinet structure, which is kind of led us to this position. Thank you.
Councillor Lawton.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. It failed in 2005 and history will repeat itself. It will fail again. Just to add a few points. One is, it's not only the relationship of the vice chairs with the chair of the scrutiny committee, it is the relationship with the officers as well. It actually helps the officers having an alternate view to issues which affect our resident and affect this council. I wrote previously, you may or may not be aware, but I wrote the 10-year plan for this council, and the 10-year plan was there for members of the opposition to be able to scrutinise the workings of this council to whether it was effective or not. And we welcomed it. We welcomed it with open arms. And we helped the scrutiny process because we recognise how important it is for the delivery of services to the residents we represent. So, unfortunately, wrong decision. Just as a point of order while I'm standing, is I contacted the two councillors who you said had never been contacted by Reform. Well, actually, they were contacted before you, right at the beginning of the process. So you were actually incorrect with that assertion. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
What is the clarification? Please?
Just on that point, it just made. Sorry, I've been branch chairman for quite a number of months now, and that's never come across my desk. And I also speak to area managers. She would have told me so. I'm sorry, Councillor Lawton, you're incorrect.
Yes. So I'm now going to call on you, Councillor Barton, for your right to reply.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. There is no risk whatsoever. I take some of your points, but you still have the same political balance on every committee. So you've still got your voice on that committee, whether you're a vice chair or not. We took a democratic decision, which is also part of this establishment, and the democratic decision was we're going to take the vice chairs. It's as simple as that.
I will now put the motion to the vote. So all those in favour?
You're voting in favour as well.
I'm voting for.
Against?
Yeah. All those against?
24 against.
Thank you.
Abstentions.
Any abstentions? The motion is carried.
Madam Chairman, point of order, can we just know what the numbers are, please?
Yes, certainly. 34 for and 24 against.
Sorry, just to clarify, there were only 34 in favour.
We gave apologies earlier this morning. That's all right. Yes, so
Why was it the chairman didn't vote?
She did, I did.
it's still, it wasn't, so you're fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Right, move on to question 13. Yeah. Item 13, questions to the leader, cabinet members and committee chairman. As set out in the Constitution, we have 60 minutes for questions to the leader, cabinet members and committee chairman, after which any remaining questions will receive a written response. There will be a maximum of one supplementary question, which must be from the member who asked the original question, and the supplementary question should be on the same matter and should be in the form of a question, not a statement. I have received notification of 9 questions. So question 1, I call on Councillor Neil Clark to ask your question regarding homeworking.
Madam Chair, can I just ask for a suspension of standing orders? I'm proposing a suspension of standing orders so that all of these questions can be heard and that we actually abandon the 1 hour time limit on this occasion. Just a second.
Councillor Carr, we will not be doing that.
Proposer and a seconder for suspension.
You've got a proposer.
You've got proposer and seconder. You've at least got to go to a vote.
So
Councillor Carr, do you have a seconder?
which you may need.
Jenna. So I would like now to have a vote for those in favour of suspending standing orders, please. For those against?
You need to vote this time.
So it is a vote.
You won't be.
35 for. Oh, sorry, against.
So it won't be.
So we will not be suspending standing orders. So back to question 1. I call on Councillor Neil Clark to ask your question regarding homeworking.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If I could just first congratulate Councillor Barton on your election as leader of the council. Congratulations. To the question, according to Nottinghamshire Live, when Nigel Farage was asked if Reform would expect all council staff to work in the office every day of the week, he replied, within reason, absolutely yes. For the benefit of Nottinghamshire County Council employees and all members of the public who voted for Reform, please could the leader explain how quickly this policy will be implemented and what is meant by the words within reason? Thank you.
I call on Councillor Mick Barton to reply.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for your question, Councillor Clark. I was formally elected to be leader of this council early in this meeting, so it is really too early for me to say. My administration wants to spend time gathering information in order to understand how better things work at the council and how we can improve services for local people. Our members and the council values our staff and are a key asset for the council. We won't be able to continue to deliver essential services to local people and our communities without the staff. So we want to consider this matter carefully before making the decisions in order to get the balance right.
Councillor Clark, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, indeed, Madam Chair. Could the leader confirm that in making those considerations, that obviously he will take into account the fact that the staff are hanging in the balance and in a state of limbo, not knowing what their arrangements are, and how soon will he be able to advise the council on the additional costs of running the offices once all the staff are back in full time?
I call on Councillor Barton to reply.
As I've just said in my previous answer, obviously it's too early to say yet. We've got a lot of work to do, so I can't give you a definitive time answer, but we do value staff and we're going to be looking at this very closely. We're in charge of the Notts County Council and we'll be looking at all avenues where we can change if needed. That the staff have got no concern, they've got to have no concerns from where I'm sat.
I call on Councillor Sam Smith to ask your question about impact on immigration.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This council has a statutory responsibility to deal with the impacts of immigration, such as supporting unaccompanied asylum-seeking children who arrive in the area and require a school place. A local election leaflet for Reform UK in Mansfield included a pledge to stop the boats. Which Nottinghamshire County Council power has the leader found for this new Reform administration to deploy and reduce immigration?
I call on Councillor Mick Barton to reply.
Thank you, Councillor Smith, for your question. I am yet to be fully briefed on the critical importance of this subject. I'm sure we'll appreciate that I'll take time to determine our position with regard to where we are able to exercise discretion and what our legal requirements are.
Councillor Smith, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you, Chairman, and I thank the leader for that question. I've got one of his leaflets here that promised to stop the boats. How many of you stopped whilst Reform have been running this council?
So it seems you're so obsessed with our leaflets. Obviously, that's a national message that was on all our leaflets. But if you don't think illegal migration has had an impact on everybody's lives in this country, never mind this county, it's affecting our economy, it's affecting the NHS, and your party had 14 years to do something about this. 14 years. Those planes that were sat on that runway waited to take them to foreign lands, they never took off. 10,000 illegal immigrants came in under your administration, so please don't dictate to us or tell us that about a leaflet that's in Mansfield. And as I say, you've got a copy, but I've got plenty more in my case if you want another read. Thank you.
Point of clarification, Madam Chair, point of clarification. Asylum seekers and refugees are not illegal.
I call on Councillor Bruce Lawton to ask your question concerning funding for the A614A and the A6097 scheme.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. 2 months ago, the previous Conservative administration secured 7.5 million from the East Midlands Combined County Authority towards the vital A614, A6097 corridor improvement scheme. This is effectively the main North Road through the county. This funding addresses a cost shortfall and serves as a catalyst for the government to consider the full business case for the scheme. And as the member for Sherwood Forest will attune to, is an integral part of the recent development at the Thoresby Colliery site. The DFT duly stated, we continue to work closely with Nottinghamshire County Council and will make any announcements in due course. Will the new Reform administration join with me in continuing to apply pressure on the Labour government and Michelle Walsh to ensure that the A614, A6097 scheme goes ahead, given its economic importance to the country and the county, for that matter.
I call on Councillor Bert Bingham to reply.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Lawton. As I have only today been appointed to the position, obviously I need to get up to date on this important project. I look forward to talking to you about it going forward. And of course, as I understand it, and our administration develops our options, if you like, our priorities going forward. On a related matter, I was going to say that it's a privilege to stand up here for the first time and speak and congratulate the chairs and leaders, etc., appointed today. But I was not very, how can I put it, good-humoured by the Punch and Judy political theatre earlier today. I approach my work in a polite and professional way, and I would appreciate if the same is returned. I'll try and maintain that standard, even if not. But I will say to you that your negative energy is actually turned into positive energy for us, because it gives us motivation going forward. Thank you.
Councillor Lawton, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I'm not so sure that's anything to do with the question. I'm talking about the viability of the A614 junction. This is not nothing to do with the previous part of the meeting. Anyway, my supplementary, Madam Chairman, is the Cabinet member, well, actually, since he's only been in case a day, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is the Cabinet member aware that the Mickledale Lane junction, which is, for your information, the junction onto the A614 that the Bilsthorpe residents use on a regular basis, was drawn out of the scheme and was going to be funded by the County Council capital programme. So it is an integral part of the scheme, but it was drawn out because it was going to be carried out earlier as separate from Ollerton Roundabout and the other junctions. And really, my question is, are you prepared to secure that funding for that particular junction? Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
I call on Councillor Bingham to reply.
Yeah, I can refer you to the previous answer, first day in post, as you say. I haven't been briefed on the project, and we will come back to you. And I look forward to having discussions going forward. Thank you.
Question 4. I call on Councillor Mike Adams to ask your questions regarding the flag flying protocol.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, and congratulations on your elevation, and to your deputy, and also to the leader of the council as well. My question is as follows. Can the leader of the Reform administration explain how the County Council's flag flying protocol on or in its buildings will change in comparison with the previous Conservative administration's approach? Thank you.
I call on Mick Barton to reply.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And thank you, Councillor Adams, for your question. Improving services for local people and the communities are important to me in the administration. We want to take time to determine our priorities over the forthcoming weeks and months and put in plans to place to deliver these. We can consider the relevant council policies alongside this at the appropriate point in time. Thank you.
Councillor Adams, do you have a supplementary question?
So will you commit to it? Are you committing to your national policy or not? I'm confused by what you just said. I don't. You wrote in an article. In fact, it's funny enough. I have it here. You wrote this article with Lee Anderson proudly in the chat, and it quite clearly said, "We have already begun to start making a few changes as Reform UK control councils are moving at speed to ensure the only flags permitted to be flown on or in its buildings will be the Union Jack, actually it's the Union flag, and the St George's flag. No other flags will be permitted or flown." So is that correct or not?
Councillor Adams. That was not a question. That was a speech. You had already asked your question.
Move on, Mick.
Yeah, well, he might disagree, but I answered that within my first question, so I've given my answer. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Question 5.
No.
I call on Councillor Roger Jackson to ask your question concerning the Nottinghamshire County Show.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and may I congratulate you and the Vice Chairman on your positions you've had today, and I hope you enjoy your year in post. And also to Councillor Barton, becoming Leader of the Council. My question is, would the Cabinet member join me in congratulating and thanking Nottingham County Council employees and Newark Showground staff and volunteers and everyone else who was involved in organising and making the 140th Nottinghamshire County Show such a success on May the 10th this year?
I call on Councillor Dawn Justice to reply.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations on your appointment, and congratulations to Chris and to Nick as well. Thank you, Councillor Jackson, for your question. I am informed that you have played a major role in the county show in recent years, and I'm aware too that this year the council was very well represented at the show by a wide range of teams and services. I'm therefore very happy to join you in congratulating and thanking everyone involved. The show is an event that displays the very best of our county, and long may it continue. Thank you.
Councillor Jackson, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chairman, and may I thank Councillor Justice for a reply. And may I, on behalf of the county show, because I am the chairman of the executive, please thank all members of staff of the county council involved in making the community zone at the show such a success. Inspire and our children's services and many other organisations and sports clubs meeting and talking to Nottinghamshire families. This has built up over the last 4 years to become a great showcase for the council to promote all that is good about our county. There was over 16,500 people at the showground this year, so it's a great shop window for this county to promote itself. And would the Cabinet member join with me in urging people to save the date for next year's show on 9th of May 2026? And can she confirm that the new administration will continue to support this excellent annual event during their term of office?
I call on Councillor Justice to reply.
I'd like to thank Councillor Jackson there for planning up the due date for the next show. Obviously, that's quite important that we all mark that in our diaries. And I think I've answered this slightly in my first answer. Long may this show continue, and obviously this council has been very supportive of it and will continue to be so. Thank you.
Question 6. I call on Councillor Teresa Cullen to ask your question regarding local government reorganisation.
Madam Chair, Leader, my question's to you, Leader. Does the Leader agree that the current proposals for local government review in Nottinghamshire are highly unlikely to deliver benefits for communities and residents across our county, and that we should do everything in our power to prevent them from going ahead?
I call on Councillor Mick Barton to reply.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And apologies that I've got to have my back here, but I've been told I've got to face forward for the microphone, so apologies for that. Unless you can all hear me. Can you hear me from there? Is that all right? Can you still hear me? Oh, all right, fair enough. I am aware that the 9 councils across Nottingham and Nottinghamshire have been working closely together since January to respond to the government's plan for the reorganisation of local government. This is probably one of the most complex pieces of work that this new administration will pick up, and the outcome will have an impact on all our communities for generations to come and all its residents. You will understand that we will take our time and go through this extensive detailed work done so far before taking a position on this. I don't know how much of the detailed work you have read, but I will encourage all members in this chamber to take time to understand the government's criteria, the options on the table, and be part of the discussions and our best to respond to the government's plans so we can make the most for our people that we all represent. I am sure that we will debate this subject on many occasions in the months to come, and I welcome all your responses and input. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary question?
Of course I do. Leader, you'll be happy to know that, as you said earlier, you're a very experienced councillor, and so am I. Been a councillor on Broxtowe for many years, and I have looked at this from the moment it was first mentioned. I'm thoroughly aware of all of the proposals. So I'm going to ask you, if the proposals are driven through against the wishes of the majority of Nottinghamshire residents, and we've asked hundreds, does the leader agree that the only way to seriously address the ravages of austerity and the decimation of our local government funding over the last 14 years will be to ensure a needs-based full funding review of local government financing, including the need to include deprivation indices and a sustainable funding mechanism for adult and child social care, is completed with published results for us all to consider before any options are chosen to go ahead with this? I'm sorry for bringing politics into a political chamber.
Councillor Barton to reply.
As I say, it's too early to say yet, as we've only been in a few days in our administration, but we will be looking at all options. And I do know that obviously this will affect all our residents for decades and decades to come, everybody. And it is at the top of our list to get sorted, and sorted properly for everybody in this chamber. And we will all have a say on it. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Question 7. I call on Councillor Steve Carr to ask your question about provisions within the Equalities Act.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I know what the answer is going to be, but let's have a go. Question to the Leader of the Council. Under the Equality Act 2010, local councils in the UK have several key statutory duties, particularly under the Public Sector Equality Duty, PSED, set out in section 149 of the Act. These duties require public bodies, including local councils, to actively consider how their policies, practices and services affect people with protected characteristics. The general quality of duty. Local councils must, in the exercise of its functions, have due regard to the need to eliminate unlawful discrimination, harassment and victimisation, advance equality of opportunity between people who share protected characteristics and those who do not, foster good relations between people who share a protected characteristic and those who do not. The protected characteristics apply to age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, gender, sexual orientation. Will the Leader of the Council uphold the law of the land, or is he prepared to break it?
I call on Councillor Mick Barton to reply.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your question, Councillor Carr. This council, under my leadership, will operate within the requirements set out in the legislative framework applicable to the council as it reflected in the council's constitution. Thank you.
Councillor Carr. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, I do have a supplementary question. Well, no, I shan't ask that one. I'll perhaps finish with that. So this is completely against everything that was being said on the doorsteps in the local election campaign by Reform, as was on local government reorganisation, but that's another issue. My question will be, when are you going to be briefed enough to actually answer a question properly in this council chamber? Thank you.
Councillor Barton to reply.
I've just answered your question properly.
Question 8. I call on Councillor Penny Gowland to ask your question concerning traffic issues around Trent Bridge.
Thank you. How does the Cabinet Member for Transport and the Environment plan to tackle the issues caused by traffic related to large events such as at the football, cricket and rugby clubs around Trent Bridge? Thank you.
I call on Councillor Burt Bingham to reply.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Gowland. It's a similar answer to before. I've been in post about an hour, less probably, and haven't been briefed on the project yet, but I look forward to discussing it with you going forward. Thank you.
Councillor Garland, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you. I'd just like to take a moment to mention the succinct replies are great. We've got through all the questions. But anyhow, would you please consider both a park and ride and in particular event day parking around the area for the benefit of the local residents and the fans who currently struggle at reaching the football club?
I call on Councillor Bingham to reply.
I will keep an open mind until such time as they're briefed and can come back to you. And as I say, happy to discuss the matter with you. Thank you.
Question 9. I call on Councillor Jeanette Barlow to ask your question about solar farm applications.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to congratulate you and your Vice Chair and also Mick Barton as being new leader of the Council. My question to the Cabinet Member for Transport and Environment. Under Conservative control last year, this Council expressed strong concern that decisions on solar farm applications had been rushed through by the Labour Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero, without taking full account of local views and expert advice. Conservative councillors proposed and voted for a motion recognising that solar farm applications in Nottinghamshire carry significant implications for policy areas within this council's remit, for example, flooding, highways and other place-related matters. The council resolved that when acting as a statutory consultee on solar farm applications, it would make representations clearly setting out the environmental and infrastructure impacts on any such applications. Since the local elections, Nigel Farage has stated that reform councils have the choice to say no to proposed solar farms. Can the Cabinet Member explain how this choice would be exercised in practice within the constraints of the planning rules that apply to all councils?
I call on Councillor Burt Bingham to reply.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Barlow. Again, about an hour in post, so I have to be briefed on the topic. I'll keep an open mind, and I need to get to grips with it to understand what is a complex situation before coming to a public position. You'll have a follow-up in the coming weeks. I will look into this issue, so I'll be pleased to discuss it with you in the meantime. Thank you.
Councillor Barlow, do you have a supplementary question?
I do. Thank you, Chairman, and I thank the Cabinet Member for his reply, and I look forward to obviously speaking with you on the matter. There has been coverage in the media, I do my supplementary question, there's been coverage in the media around concerns that the production of up to 40% of solar panels could be linked to forced labour, which should be unacceptable to this council given its previously stated commitments to stop modern slavery, a commitment I hope the Reform Administration will carry forward. Would the Cabinet Member join with me in ensuring that such concerns are highlighted in relation to any solar farm application in Nottinghamshire?
I call on Councillor Bingham to reply.
Thank you, Councillor. As previously, I look forward to discussing it with you. I'll keep an open mind as I gather the information, including from yourself. Thank you very much.
Item 14. I call upon Councillor Penny Gowland to move the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You've already mentioned how impressed you were on entering County Hall. County Hall is a substantial, iconic building that belongs to every resident in Nottinghamshire. I think we would all assume that we don't have the right to sell it off without very careful thought and consultation with those residents. However, the previous administration made that decision in less time and with less consultation than seems to be required to install double yellow lines in my division. Lots of money has been spent on County Hall in recent years, removing asbestos, upgrading IT. In fact, County Hall is a very well appointed space. When I'm not councillor, I'm a scientist, and in my place, we'd give IT throughout the building with those IT facilities. Nonetheless, the upfront argument for closing County Hall is that it will cost £50 million to upgrade it. But that figure has never been explained or justified or broken down. I can make many suggestions on how to save money and even how to make money from that building. Here are just a few. Toning down the heating would start, make it more comfortable and reduce the bills. Reduce the ridiculous amount of space given over in some of the councillors' offices. But that building is located in an internationally renowned location that has thousands of visitors each month. Surely it can be exploited to bring in revenue in many ways. Conference facilities, co-working spaces. What about a sports museum and some of it, an associated cafe? I've learnt recently that the restaurant was previously used for training young catering workers. Why not bring something back like that during sporting events? I live a stone's throw from County Hall, but before my election, I'd only been there once in 1991 for a civic event. Why isn't it used more by residents or for residents? Oak House is a vanity project from people who know about the cost of everything and the value of nothing, and have proved over the last 4 years to have no commercial nous. If not, how can it be that Suffolk County Council is now making money from running our facilities management? Why couldn't Notts County Council do that? If Suffolk can do it, surely Notts could have done it. But there are practical issues with this building. County Hall is very well connected by public transport for most of the county. So even councillors from the north, the council I knew previously from the north of the county, said it was better connected than Oak House. There isn't enough parking here, I understand. The bus service is terrible. I came by bus. The access from the bus stop is actually an insult. I believe, I understand that members of the previous administration who'd actually asked for offices in Trent Bridge House so they wouldn't have to travel to Hucknall. But staff were expected to make this move. As it is, Oak House now isn't big enough. The building was originally designed to replace the old MASH building, which was very expensive to run, I believe. But now I understand that that can't be vacated if County Hall moves here, so it will have to be kept open. So if we keep County Hall, it won't mean that Notts County Council abandons Hucknall and Ashfield. This building will still be needed for the MASH building and others. With County Hall closed, there will not be enough desks for staff to come to work even for the few days a week that they're currently doing so. How can people be expected to work together and feel valued employees if we don't give them their own working space? Thank you.
I call upon Councillor John Clark to second the motion.
Chair, yes, I'll formally second the motion and reserve the right to speak.
I will now open the debate. So, Councillor.
While I agree with what a lot you've just said, I don't want to sound like a stuck record. Obviously, this is our first week in power. I do agree with a lot of what you've just said, but we've got to do an holistic look of all our asset management. And as a group, we've got to get that right. But over the 4 years, 10 years, we'll be in. So I think you're 6 months too early with this motion, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't want to degrade it in any way. I think it's a good motion. I just think it's too early. So unfortunately, I won't be able to support it today, but I do agree with some of your sentiments in it, if that's all right. Thank you.
Councillor Wilmot.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman, for allowing me to speak on this very, very important issue. I wholeheartedly support the motion before us today. It would be a real shame to leave behind County Hall with its stunning location beside the River Trent. The settings offer so much to enjoy, picturesque walks along the embankment where staff and councillors alike can take a leisurely stroll and unwind during breaks, surrounded by lovely nature and the beauty of the river. The reality is, however, the Labour Party in Nottinghamshire voted to move to Oak House many times. They voted against the Independents' alternative budget twice, 3 times at a Communities and Place Department and at the Planning Committee. Only independent councillors have voted constantly against this waste of money. The original budget was 11 million and it is now officially skyrocketed to double that amount and more. Putting the hypocrisy of this motion to one side, I agree totally with the sentiment of it. The transport links to County Hall are excellent, connecting us all to all corners of Nottinghamshire. Additionally, the area boasts fantastic sporting facilities, making it not only a hub of governance, but also a place of community life and well-being. Now let's turn our attention to Oak House, which, frankly, is a monstrosity in comparison. Not only has its construction been marred by a significant overspend, millions of pounds over budget, its own existence is a scandal in its own right. Its so-called recreational space offers little more than a walk along a busy, noisy road, inhaling fumes from the constant traffic. This proposal, in my opinion, is a poorly conceived and ill-thought-out plan. However, there is a potential for Oak House. Rather than continuing to waste valuable resources, why not transform it into something truly beneficial for our community? It could be repurposed to hold other services, NHS and other organisations. As for County Hall, the proceeds from the sale of Oak House could be reinvested in vital upgrades and renovations, improving the space for all who work there. Additionally, any vacant areas could be let to a commercial enterprise, helping to offset costs and bringing in much needed revenue. In conclusion, Oak House is not a fit location for our County Hall. I fully support this motion, despite the hypocrisy and belief it's the right step forward for our community. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Cullen.
Madam Chair, fellow councillors. County Hall, as I said earlier, I've been a councillor for many years. County Hall has been and is an iconic building. It's internationally renowned. It appears all over the world. Whenever anybody talks about Nottingham, you see the green roof of County. Got a loud voice anyway, so I forget I don't have the microphone on. Sometimes the microphone on. So, when I was elected to the county council, I was excited to be going to County Hall. And then I injured my leg during the election campaign. You might have noticed I'm hobbling about a bit. And my son, who lives in Newstead, collected me from hospital and drove me to his house where I would recuperate for a few days. And as we drove along from Hucknall to Newstead, I said to him, "What's that building? Where's that come from?" And he said, "Oh, Mum, that's the new County Hall." And I said, "Oh, it looks like a hospital." This is not County Hall. County Hall is magnificent. I'm told it will take £50 million to get it up to scratch. Let me tell you something. I've been a borough councillor for years and years now. I was a borough councillor in Broxtowe when the then Tory administration that included Councillor Jan Gould and Councillor John Doddy sold Broxtowe's town hall to a church and moved us into an ill-equipped civic centre where our council meetings are cramped and uncomfortable. There is no room for a public gallery. When we have events where we need aldermen and freemen to attend, we have to hire a different venue so that we can fit them in. The church, I'll tell you, went on to spend the money to refurbish that and make it into a smashing conference centre, and they make lots of money from that. So I will not support the selling of County Hall to come to this place that it's difficult to get to and really difficult to get to by bus from Beeston, for example. It's a nice building. It's lovely. I'm in here today. It's lovely. But this is not County Hall, so I'll be supporting the motion to remain at County Hall, actual County Hall. Thank you.
Councillor Smith, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We meet in this chamber for the second time, now fully handed over to Nottinghamshire County Council. It works, it's functional, and most importantly, it saves the taxpayers money. £2 million a year this building will save the taxpayers of Nottinghamshire, and that's £2 million that I would rather the new administration invest in services, if I'm honest, in all parts of the county. Let's be absolutely clear to address Councillor Gowland's points. The Conservative administration had a plan, a serious, costed and responsible plan that would have saved the council millions and millions of pounds. As I say, they could have been invested into frontline services. With this motion, Councillor Gowland, you do what you did in the previous administration, an attempt to derail those plans in a totally irresponsible financial way that will have massive consequences to Nottinghamshire. And I'll come on to the question about where you're going to find the £30 million. Councillor Barton is absolutely right that there needs to be a report on the assets to come up with those answers. And this motion that you've rustled together on the back of a Labour political leaflet doesn't come up with those answers. And County Hall is a heritage building. It's absolutely beautiful, and we recognise it's an absolute iconic building. But sentiment alone does not pay the bills. We cannot afford to turn a blind eye to reality, and Councillor Barton is right. Keeping County Hall open would require essential maintenance costs of more than £30 million over the next 12 years, and more than £28 million to bring it up to modern environmental standards. So, Councillor Gowland, you're more green than the Greens that tried to beat me in Newark East, but you don't talk about the environmental impacts of County Hall just because it's an iconic building. And I know that's an uncomfortable truth for you, but it's a truth nonetheless. And let's remember, Madam Chairman, what the main purpose of this lovely building is. The main purpose is to relocate our multi-safeguarding agencies and customer services team here, delivering an immediate saving of £270,000 a year by ending the expensive rental agreements. And it moves those children and family services closer to where the demand is, in the north of the county. And by getting rid of it, you're removing access to those services. 270 grand we can reinvest directly into vital services, and 270 grand, exactly what the Conservatives were going to do. Sound financial management and protecting services. The decision to relocate the civic and council function came at a much later date, and it was a strategic addition once we recognised that County Hall costs over £1.7 million to operate and maintain. These are the costs that cannot be overlooked, and our plan would have kept that money in the taxpayers' pocket. Another thing, before you stick the for sale sign up, Councillor Gowland, on your way out, Oak House will have paid for itself in approximately 10 years. Let me repeat that. This building that we're all sat in right now, within a decade, would have paid for itself. And that's before we even factor in the £40 million of capital receipts you're about to get for the land we've sold off over the road at Top Wighay. That business case is of sound financial management and absolutely compelling. And I know it's hard for Labour councillors to understand what a fine financial business plan looks like, but there's one for you. You can have it for free. It's been written down in the council agenda for years, Madam Chairman. And if anybody in this chamber, it sounds like they're not going to, which is really welcomed and great to see. If anybody in this chamber supports Labour's mad financial incompetent plan and proposes to walk away from Oak House, where is the money coming from? Where's the £30 million coming from, Councillor Gowland? When you sum up, tell the people of Nottinghamshire, what libraries are you going to close? What schools aren't you going to expand and build? What roads and pavements, which is the #1 priority of residents right across this county, are you not going to repair? That's the answers that need answering, questions that need answering, Madam Chairman. Where is the £30 million coming from? Councillor Butler and I planted that oak tree in the garden, and just in case anyone was wondering, particularly the Labour councillors, it's not a money tree. There's no £30 million coming from it, but you, to stay in County Hall, need to find the money. Bring on the plan, Councillor Barton, because it sounds like we're on the same page here. Bring on the plan. Let's assess all assets And let's make sound financial decisions, not mad ones made on the socialist fag packet. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. I'm going to start with apologising immediately. Councillor Barton, I thought I'd be calling you silly in this bit. I had a speech written where I was going to be calling you silly. And I apologise because actually what you said at the beginning actually makes sense. Is you can't make a decision before you have all the information. And this motion from Labour was a trap. There's a famous Star Wars saying, Luke, it's a trap. And this was a trap set by Labour for you coming into position without all the information. You didn't have all the information. They were hoping that you were going to use public opinion to try and stop this building coming forward before you had all the information. And I would like to congratulate you for not falling for that trap. The reason is why councils look at selling off old buildings, and we've done it in boroughs and districts across, is the old buildings cost a lots of money. I love County Hall. I love it. It's one of my favourite places to go and work. I really do. I love where it is. I love the views. I love that it's so close to so many facilities. Now, we know that other people are looking at our building. We know the cricket club are looking at our building. They want a hotel. We know Nottingham Forest are looking at our building. They want a hotel. We know there's conversations to be had. Now, if you go to our nearest neighbours, like the football clubs and the cricket club, we know that they want our building. They want our car park. They want our facilities. And it's a way of securing the building, securing the future, and making sure there's long-term investment. Now, that will be up to you to do as a council about if you want to do that. Personally, I've always said that we should retain some of the ownership over that building and work in partnership with partners to bring forward maybe a hotel, maybe apartments, maybe businesses, maybe a restaurant, and do more with it. As a council, we don't have the fully funded to be able to do what I would love to do, because we don't. We're about services, right? We're about bringing forward services, making sure highways, roads, children's services, school, we can do. But working with partners, maybe like Forest, the cricket club, county, and other facilities, we could have a little bit of both worlds. The investments, keeping hold of some of it as future income, and we could do more. Is the truth? The truth is as councillors, you will spend very little time in the offices wherever they are. Most of your time, like me, will be on the phone, on your computer, speaking to residents, doing casework. You can do that from anywhere. You can do that from home. You can do that from any office. Is it nice sitting in County Hall having the meetings there? Yes. Is it worth losing £30 million of being able to put in your resident services? I would say no. Hopefully you won't be supporting this motion. I look forward, if you want to sit down, I look forward to having a chat with you about what I think we need to do with County Hall. Maybe retain some of it, invest it. I would love to see a Nottingham Forest hotel where they can have more people coming into the city, more people coming into the county, more people, car parking spaces, Councillor Garland. You want car parking spaces, park and ride? The car park would be perfect for it.
Yeah. So it's all running.
Yes, but you could do more of it, right? You could build up, you could have multi-stage car parking, you could build more pubs, more facilities. There is more conversations to have, and I look forward, Councillor Mick Barton, I look forward to having those conversations with you, sir. Thank you.
Councillor Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I think, reading this motion, there's parts of it you could say I agree with, parts of it say not to. I mean, as a fellow West Bridgeford member like Councillor Gowland and seeing council every day and having been there virtually every day the last 4 years, it's a lovely building and I'd love to stay there. But the main issue is when we were running administration, officers came to us and said that could cost up to £50 million, as Councillor Smith has said, to maintain the building. And the only way to do that would be then take money out of vital services, which is our highways, adults and children's care, just to name a few. So when I was knocking on the doors in election and knocked on a few thousand and said to people, we're going to keep County Hall, it's not going to go anywhere, it's going to be there as a building, but look to use it differently, but that money saved will go into services. 99% of people said to me they were absolutely for that. And so when you read the two recommendations in front of you there, the reason that I will be abstaining from this motion is because, you know what, on number one, if since we were in charge, and in those weeks since, a magic plan's been come up with that will make sure that building can be upgraded, no cost to residents, and that we can stay there and still have this building here for the teams that are based here, absolutely fine. But we absolutely know that's not going to be the case. But number two is where it really falls down, because Disposal of Oak House, as Councillor Smith and colleagues have said, the main reason for this building is the MASH and customer service team. And I have positioned the last administration of looking after the customer service team and the MASH team. I know the important role they play, the amount of people they look after, and having a fit-for-purpose building here is absolutely vital. And as already been said, the fact it's costing us £500,000 a year in rent to the buildings. We've already given notice to leave those buildings as far as I'm aware of, so we're out of those. Our team needs somewhere to go. We've got it set up here ready to go for them to move in, and to make sure that, again, the building will pay for itself, that we're going to make sure we're not paying dead money to rent. We're going to have the building here, and that money we can save on rent goes into frontline services if someone needs support. I'm also, with the wording of the motion as well, I mean, I'm sure Councillor Stuart Bestwing's residents wouldn't like to call this area the world remote. As someone who used to work in this area, I know it's not, and it's a lovely place of the county to be located. And transport links, they may not be perfect, but the 141 service, which Councillor Tom Smith did notice to say the 141 delivered, and we made sure was to the route change to be here, does service the building, and that could be looked at in terms of further transport links. I think we might be the Transport Authority, if we create some on, so we can look into that absolutely. But like I say, just got the word in the motion there, not something that we can, that I personally can support. And like I say, well, we do welcome Councillor Barton saying wants to look at it properly and thoroughly, which again, group need to do that, to look at options, how we can take it going forwards. Thank you.
Councillor Bestwick.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, congratulate Madam Chair and Vice Chair on your appointment, and Councillor Mick Barton as leader. Can I also welcome all of the new members to the Chamber? I'm a new member myself, and I actually represent the Newstead division, and which is where we all are today. So I did want to just take issue with a couple of people who said we're not the centre of the universe, but we are the centre of Nottingham geographically. And there are good transport links from Hucknall. We're nearby to the villages of Limby and Papplewick and of Newstead Village. They all have excellent facilities. I can't name all the pubs, obviously, but there's one in each village and they're all very good. Yeah, well, yeah, I can. If you see me afterwards, I'll be happy to tell you the best ones. But I just wanted to welcome you all to Newstead Village. Newstead Division. I know we're going to be talking about Oak House against County Hall probably many times in the future, but if we do end up here, it is a wonderful place to be. There's plenty of nice walks and nice facilities to use. Any tips, please come and see me. Final thing, if you drive through Papplewick and Limby on your way to County Hall, it's a conservation area, please drive carefully. Thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. May I just reiterate what Councillor Lee said to Councillor Barton? I am pleased that you are putting it on hold and sitting and making this, not making this decision on the hoof and thinking about it. Because I always thought reform were a part of business and savings. A few years ago, was very involved in the moving from Kelham Hall to Castle House with Newcastle Shire District Council. And at the time, Kelham Hall, like County Hall, was costing an absolute fortune to run, heating, electricity, everything involved in running it. We built Castle House, and we paid for it in less than 5 years, and the savings we made. And that is common business sense at this day and age. We can't go around living in old and dysfunctional buildings anymore, as much as iconic as they are. I think we have to look into the future. Working ways of practice have changed over the years. We now all work from Teams and laptops. We didn't 20 years ago. We had to go to meetings and sit down and have debates. We can do things differently. We've talked about the savings that can be made, the uses of what County Hall can be. This is a lovely functional room. I think the transport link can be improved. I mean, Castle House has become the perfect hub for Newark and Sherwood, and it has worked. So I look at the business case before you make any decisions about moving, and the savings and the sensibility of it. So I'm sure your party will see the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
Councillor Lawton.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chairman. I used to be, until reform took over, on the CCN. 22 county councils have moved out of 1930s buildings in the last few years, for the exact same reason that we have built Oak House, because the cost implications to those councils is prohibitive. Derby City Council, which is cited in a similar 1930s building has just spent £86 million renovating its council buildings. That's £86 million we could spend on services and provision. That's 4 secondary schools could be rebuilt in Nottinghamshire. And so I like going into County Hall. I like looking at the memorial wall. And because I see quite a few members on there that I can remember, which is obviously an indictment of how old I am. On the other hand, it's not fit for purpose. There's also the capital receipts we will receive from what is an iconic location within Nottinghamshire. The buildings are there to provide a service. They are working operational buildings, and not because you like going into it or you like socialising or it looks grand or the council chamber looks fantastic. I'm really not interested in that. I'm interested in delivery of service for the people I represent. The windows are all falling out. They all need replacing within the next 5 years. I don't know whether you'd seen, but they've got Legionella in the water system. That's why they've got all those filters on the taps, because the water system is not fit for purpose. Every so often the sewage system breaks down and the place turns into a sewer. You can stink it all the way through the whole of the county council. All the asbestos from the building is stored in the roof space on the 4th floor. Costs an absolute fortune to deal with. Those are just a few of the issues that we're dealing with. County Hall costs, actually, my leader is wrong. It costs 1.8 million a year to heat it. That's not running costs, just to heat the building itself. We will be abstaining, and the reason why we're abstaining, because I hate abstaining, Mick, I won't abstain. I'm either for or against, but we are abstaining we're waiting for your capital asset report before we come off the fence as far as that is concerned. But remember, it is about saving money, spending that money on services and providing a modern working environment for the people that we represent. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Councillor Neil Clark.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to share my experience wearing my other hat as well. I'm also leader of Rushcliffe Borough Council, and we went through a similar sort of debate regarding buildings some nearly 10 years ago now. We occupied the Curve building overlooking Trent Bridge, formerly the Bridgeford Hotel, and we decided that it was no longer fit for purpose. It had got old systems, very much like County Hall, and we decided that we would relocate, and that relocation took place 8 years ago, where we extended our leisure centre, our current leisure centre, built a new office building adjacent to the leisure centre, so the Borough Council already owned the land, so we weren't purchasing anything. But we looked at our business case and we wondered whether to redevelop the office, the old office building, but we decided that it's best to vacate that and take the capital receipts. So although the overall project cost £15 million, we didn't borrow a penny because it was all internal funding, and we used the capital receipts from the old building to sell to developers who are far more experienced than any local authority at redevelopment. And we have a new efficient building which is saving, and for a district council, it's a lot of money, £400,000 a year for a district council running costs. So the reason that I am abstaining, and I'm very similar to Councillor Lawton, I absolutely abhor abstaining normally, but the reason that I am abstaining is because there are both fors and against in this motion, and it's difficult to vote for part of it when you actually disagree with other parts of it. I will actually just point out, Madam Chairman, that Councillor Lawton is actually wrong when he says that all the windows need replacing, because there's one window in my old office where we had a fire and it was totally replaced. It's a brand new window. So all but one window needs replacing. But apart from that, no, but please don't set fire to the building again. We've done that one. We've got that video done. But anyway, I think it is, as Councillor Barton's indicated, we need to look at the business case, as you've already suggested, get all the facts and figures right and make the right decisions, because in my experience of the Borough Council, there weren't so many different services involved, and there's a lot more services involved in this decision. So that's my reasons for abstaining. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Councillor John Doddy.
Yes, again, Councillor Gowland, I think it is a lovely motion to bring forward, although, as the leader says, slightly premature. We've heard mention of defers for the motion and the against the motion, but then there's also the unknowns that we don't. And I think at the present moment, that's probably local government. What the state of buildings will be and what the demands will be and where we will be as councillors, or what size building we will need, or where we're going to be in a couple of years' time. So for me, one of the greatest factors that means that we can't make these decisions at this point in time is the unknowns with regards to local government reorganisation. I would just like to compliment the previous administration on the fantastic work that Oak House has become. There's going to be an awful lot of people that we put in here to work. This is going to be their home. They're going to be on the various levels working here, and I would like them to have a certain degree of pride in it. I wouldn't like them to think of it as some sort of a white elephant, some sort of a wasted money scheme, when by all accounts it's one of the buildings that's been brought in at a cost that would be much less, I believe 20% less than would be expected anywhere else in the country, brought in under budget, although over our expected budget, which is a different argument. It's a very low cost, and the fantastic thing is that it'll return itself completely within 10 years' time. This is a building to be proud of, and I wouldn't put anybody into a building to work for the next number of years that it wasn't proud of. The MASH, the call handlers, etc. People are falling over themselves backwards to come into this building. This building is not a waste of money. This building is not for your area some sort of mistake. It's a really fantastic building to be in. It's not suitable for civic purposes. It's not necessarily suitable for us to be in, but it's perfectly suitable economically and in every other aesthetic way. Fantastic, and that's why I'm delighted that we will have people working here. In terms of the other big building, all I hear about is the consideration for what are the potential cross uses that could be there. It doesn't have to be an all or none scenario, but I share everybody's feeling that when you walk in there, the hairs still stand up on the back of your neck. And work is not about doing work anywhere. Sometimes work is about recognition of what you're working for, the people of Nottinghamshire. Sometimes it's about the place that you're working in. And County Hall is not a building. County Hall is a venue. When I went into it the other day, I drive in here and come into the building. You can drive all around County Hall. It's a venue. It's more than a building. And I do believe that pomp and pageantry, and our mayor here today and our vice mayor here today, our chairman here today, they actually give us the sense of pride in Nottinghamshire, and that follows you home, and that follows you into the community, and that follows you everywhere else. But it's not going to happen if you're stuck in some sort of a cabin in the middle of nowhere, because you don't sense that. So just to finish, the perfect scenario at the moment, our needs are met by both having Oak House here and having County Hall until we have the unknowns and understand the finances. Thank you.
Hold on, also.
Councillor John Clark reserved his right to speak. So would you like to speak
Thanks,
now?
Madam Chair. Yes, I would like to speak. And I think first and foremost, at least we've got the debate going on this because and I'm glad that Mick, the new leader of the council, has made it clear, yes, he will look over the next 6 months. The reason for putting this down first, clarity. One, we want to know where we are. And also, more importantly, the staff. So where are the staff? They're going to be here, they're going to be there, we don't know. So we want to get that right. But I would urge us, if you do stay here, you stay here. I mean, we haven't got any majority, you can see, can't you? We're small in group. But you look at it properly because that footprint of County Hall is huge. The potential there for a developer handled properly and, dealt with properly. And I'll take you back now to people who perhaps don't know Gedling Borough Council. We took over there as Labour in, 2011. First thing I saw when I went in was a building that wasn't properly being used. It was drafty, it was everything else. The energy costs were excessive. And the square footage of it that was being used was embarrassing. And the first day, I remember meeting John Robinson, who is now the Chief Executive of Newark and Sherwood, and I said, we need to sort this. And we need to look at how Japanese type of manufacturing works. And anybody that's got involved with that, you can look at it. Every square foot has to deliver something. And now, many years on, we don't pay anything as a council. The council taxpayers pay nothing. Sorry, the signs are going up. They don't pay anything that. We've got police, probation, the usual stuff, the DWP and all the rest of the people in there that actually do that. And we've shrunk into a part of it. What I'd ask of the new leader and this group is to seriously look at it and just see what we can do. We've got a frontage onto the River Trent there that we've just wasted it. Successive people that have run County Hall, including Labour and the Tories, and when they were all together, working together, didn't do anything with it. It's a potential, it's absolute gold mine. You've got areas there are still some buildings to be demolished. But there are areas, if you built some of the lucrative flats that would generate us some money, we could rent those out. So some money's coming in, some revenue's being made. It's all those types of options. Energy size, and the correct Sam on it, was it Sam or Bruce that said about Derby City? Derby City cost 33 million to put together, and it's one of the most energy efficient buildings in the country now. At the side of that, I was talking to Penny earlier about it, the side of it is, I think, a screw. We call it Archimedes screw. And then you'll see a great big green thing there that when the Derwent goes round. Remembering the Derwent is only 3/4 of a metre in depth. We've got that fast flowing Trent outside County Hall. I have talked to my group before. I've talked to many people. Cannot get them to look at alternatives for energy. There are massive savings in there. So really what we're asking there is to explore, see if we got the best option. We can make some money for the people of Nottinghamshire. We're not going to throw away this building. This will be used if this isn't used as you've got it as we are here today. But we would need to protect some of the iconic buildings of Nottingham, Nottingham City and Nottinghamshire. The mess that's in the city, the cardboard boxes, a kinder school could have designed that. They're just bits, shove them here, shove them there. They're empty half the year because they're student flats. They're not producing anything of heritage, which we should be proud. We should wear that badge and say we're proud of what we do, proud of what we build. And I'd ask you to look at this, and I hope that, I'll take him up on it because he's got an open door, he says. So we'll go and have a look at it. Let's see a plan that's a clear plan, a clear pathway. Is it a waste of time? Get some professionals. It's going to cost us some money. But is it a waste of time to do this? Or do we just go along and sell it? And we could fill some potholes. Sam said we could spend it on potholes. I don't know what the hell you were doing for the last few years, but we've got the worst roads in the entire country. So thankfully, recently, the Labour Mayor, I'll have to be a bit political there, the Labour Mayor just given you 79 million to spend on some roads. So hopefully you can use that better. But please support this. It is with a good intention that we look at it properly before I think we can make a grave mistake by getting this piece of real estate near the football grounds, the cricket grounds, things that are identified. And I think it was Teresa said about the grass, the green roof that's iconic whenever you look at the sporting activities that go off there. So please support this motion and hopefully we can move on. But I do agree with a leader at yet 6 months, but let's make some clear decisions so we know where we're going, people know where we're going, and let's put some factual things. If it is costing, I don't believe, like my namesake Neil, where the windows, falling out, apart from his posh office, the windows aren't falling out there. There are ways and means to deal with that. From secondary glazing, you've got the heat source pumped to a heating. There's all sorts of things you could do that would cost, and could be quite cost effective. So I hope you support it. Thank you.
I call on Councillor Garland for her right of reply.
Thanks very much, and thank you everybody for the debate. So there's obviously quite a lot of agreement here. So just to start, Councillor Smith, rather like Kemi Badenoch yesterday, you clearly had written your reply before listening to my speech. I'm in no way suggesting getting rid of this building. In fact, I actually said the problem with bringing County Hall facilities here is that it means this building is no longer large enough, as I understand it, to support the MASH services. And Councillor Wilmot, the Labour group, did support bringing the MASH here, but didn't support...
Just a point of clarification, Madam Chairman, if I wish. Councillor Galland, you say I didn't listen to your speech before I responded. You obviously haven't written the motion in your read the motion in your name. I'll remind you what Resolution 2 is: explore options of disposing Oak House. If that's not a recommendation to sell Oak House, I don't know what is. Councillor Galland, read the motion before you submit it in your name.
Okay, fair enough. Councillor Wilmot, we supported the creation of the MASH Centre here, but not moving Oak House. So I didn't get your name, the councillor for Newstead. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, what's your name? Bestwick, thank you. I agree. It's in the centre of Nottinghamshire. It's also in the centre of Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, actually, isn't it? So it's actually ideal for the East Midlands Authority. And there's also lovely flowers in the walk up from the bus stop, I should say. But we heard 30 million, 50 million, 2 million a year, 1.8 million a year. So the actual figure for maintaining County Hall is really very much not clear. And this is the argument we have. We just don't know. Councillor, I totally agree with you. I mean, completely. If part of that could be used as a hotel, that would be ideal. This is not about where councillors work. This is about the building, a building as a civic centre for the residents. So the council offices, in terms of this meeting being held in a place with appropriate leadership for the council, and civic facilities for when we run civic events for residents and for children, bringing them into County Hall. That's what we want to have in a place that's appropriate for residents. So we want both buildings, I think. Thank you.
I will now put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? A show of hands, please. All those against?
You call for abstention.
Any abstentions? Right. Thank you. And the results are 7 votes, against 35 votes, abstentions 17. The motion has fallen. So it's the end of the day. And I thank you, all of you, every one of you, for attending today, and all of those viewing online. So I now declare that this meeting is now closed.
Okay.